Have you ever prayed and felt like your words just hit the ceiling? Have you ever cried out to God and been met with silence? And maybe you're watching this right now because you feel like God has turned his back on you, like he's forgotten your name, like you're walking through the valley alone. If that's you, I need you to hear this. You are not alone in feeling alone. And what you're experiencing, it's not the end of your story. In the next few minutes, we're going to walk through what to do when you feel abandoned by God. Not shallow, surface-level advice, but real, biblical truth that meets you where you are. Because here's what I've learned. The feeling of abandonment doesn't mean you are abandoned. And sometimes God's silence is actually preparation for his greatest work in your life. So if you're ready to find hope in the silence, let's dive in. First, let me tell you something that might surprise you. Some of the most faithful people in the Bible felt exactly what you're feeling right now. David, the man after God's own heart. David wrote in Psalm 13, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me?" This is the same David who killed Goliath, the same David who danced before the Lord, the same David whom God called a man after his own heart. And yet, he felt forgotten, he felt hidden from. Job, the blameless man. Job lost everything, his children, his wealth, his health, and in his suffering, he cried out, "If only I knew where to find God, if only I could go to his dwelling." Job wasn't being punished for sin. He wasn't distant from God because of disobedience. Sometimes the silence comes even when you're doing everything right. And Jesus, God himself. And here's the most powerful example. Jesus on the cross. My God, why have you forsaken me?" If Jesus, God in flesh, experienced the feeling of abandonment, then your feelings are valid, they're real, they're human, and they don't disqualify you from God's love. So before you beat yourself up for feeling this way, remember, you're in good company. The greatest saints in history have walked this path before you. Now, let's talk about why this happens. Because understanding the purpose behind the silence can transform how you walk through it. 1. God is building your faith muscle. Think about it. When everything is going well, when prayers are answered immediately, when you feel his presence constantly, that doesn't require much faith, does it? But when you can't see him, can't hear him, can't feel him, and you still choose to believe, that's when your faith becomes unshakable. Hebrews 11:1 says faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. The silence isn't punishment, it's training. 2. God is removing what you're trusting in more than him. Sometimes we don't realize we've been trusting in the feeling of God's presence more than God himself. We've been trusting in answered prayers more than the one who answers. We've been trusting in our spiritual experiences more than our relationship with him. And God, in his mercy, removes those things temporarily so we can discover that he alone is enough. 3. God is preparing you for something greater. Joseph spent 13 years in silence, from the pit to Potiphar's house to prison. No burning bush, no angelic visitations, just silence. But that silence was preparation, because the man who emerged from prison wasn't the same boy who was thrown in the pit. He was refined, mature, ready to save nations. Your silence might be your preparation season. 4. You're in a spiritual battle. Here's something we don't talk about enough. Sometimes the silence isn't from God at all. Sometimes it's spiritual warfare trying to convince you that you've been abandoned. The enemy wants you to believe God has left. But Hebrews 13:5 promises, "Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you." The feeling of abandonment doesn't change the fact of his presence.
Okay, so now we understand why this happens, but what do you actually do when you're in it? Here are 7 practical steps. Step 1, keep showing up. Even when you don't feel anything, even when prayer feels pointless, even when reading the Bible feels dry, show up anyway. Habakkuk 3:17 through 18 says, "Though the fig tree does not bud, and there are no grapes on the vines, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in God my Savior." Your consistency in the silence is an act of worship. Step 2, speak truth over your feelings. Your feelings are real, but they're not always reliable. When you feel abandoned, speak the truth. God has promised never to leave me or forsake me. When you feel forgotten, speak the truth. God's thoughts toward me are more numerous than the sand on the seashore. When you feel alone, speak the truth. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Don't deny your feelings, but don't let them have the final word. Step 3, look back to move forward. Remember what God has done before. David did this constantly. When he faced Goliath, he remembered the lion and the bear. When he felt abandoned, he remembered past deliverances. Write down your testimony. Journal about God's faithfulness. Build your memorial stones, because the God who showed up before will show up again. Step 4, stay in community. One of the enemy's greatest tactics is isolation. He wants you to withdraw, hide, and suffer alone. Don't do it. Tell someone you trust what you're going through. Let them pray for you. Let them remind you of God's character when you can't see it yourself. Ecclesiastes 4:12 says, "A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken." You, God, and your community, that's a strong cord. Step 5, serve someone else. This might sound counterintuitive, but sometimes the way out of your darkness is to bring light to someone else's. When you're focused on your own pain, it can feel consuming. But when you shift your focus to serving others, something shifts in your spirit. You remember that your life has purpose, that God can still use you, that you're not as helpless as you feel. Step 6, worship in the wilderness. Paul and Silas sang hymns in prison at midnight. Their circumstances hadn't changed. Their pain was still real, but their worship shifted the atmosphere. Put on worship music. Sing even if your voice cracks. Lift your hands even if they feel heavy. Worship isn't about how you feel. It's about who God is. Step 7, wait with expectation. Notice I didn't say wait passively. I said wait with expectation. Psalm 27:13 through 14 says, "I remain confident of this. I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart, and wait for the Lord." Wait doesn't mean give up. Wait means I know He's coming, so I'm getting ready. Keep your eyes on the horizon. Keep your heart expectant. Keep your faith active. Now, here's what you need to understand. Just because you can't see God doesn't mean He's not working. He's working in you. Romans 8:28 promises that God works all things together for good. Not some things, all things, even the silence. He's developing character, building endurance, deepening your roots, creating in you a faith that can't be shaken. He's working for you. Isaiah 64 verse 4 says, "No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what God has prepared for those who wait for Him." While you're waiting in silence, God is preparing something in secret. He's working around you. Sometimes God is rearranging circumstances, moving pieces on the board, opening doors, closing others, orchestrating things you can't see yet. Joseph didn't know that his brother's betrayal would lead him to saving nations. David didn't know that his years in the wilderness would prepare him to be king. Jesus' disciples didn't understand that the crucifixion would lead to resurrection. You can't see the full picture yet, but God can. He's working through you. Even in your pain, God is using your story. Someone is watching how you handle this season. Someone will be encouraged by your faithfulness in the darkness. Your wilderness is preparing you to lead others through theirs. I need you to hear this. The silence doesn't last forever. Psalm 30, verse 5 says, "Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning." Your morning is coming. Signs your breakthrough is near. 1. The warfare intensifies. The enemy fights hardest right before your breakthrough. 2. You develop a strange peace. Even in uncertainty, you feel a settled confidence. 3. Doors start opening unexpectedly. What was closed begins to crack open. 4. Your perspective shifts. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What now?" 5. You sense movement in the spirit. You can't explain it, but something feels different. Don't quit now. Don't give up in the final hour. The same God who parted the Red Sea hasn't lost his power. The same God who raised Lazarus from the dead hasn't lost his voice. The same God who turned your life around before will do it again.
So if you're feeling abandoned by God right now, let me leave you with this. The feeling is real. The pain is valid. The struggle is hard. But the feeling is not the fact. God has not abandoned you. He has not forgotten you. He has not turned his back on you. He is with you in the fire. He is with you in the valley. He is with you in the silence. And one day, maybe soon, maybe not as soon as you'd like, you're going to look back on this season and see his fingerprints all over it. You're going to see how he was working when you thought he was absent. You're going to understand why the silence was necessary. You're going to be grateful for the faith that was forged in the darkness. So, hold on. Keep going. Stay faithful. Your breakthrough is coming. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Deuteronomy 31:8. If this message spoke to you today, would you do me a favor? Hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. We're building a community of believers who are real about their struggles and relentless about their faith. Drop a comment below and let me know, what's one way you're going to stay faithful in your current season? And if you need prayer, drop your request in the comments. I'll be praying over every single one. Remember, you're not alone, you're not forgotten, and your story isn't over. I'll see you in the next video.